Yes, I can hear you.
Can indeed, Alan. How are you? Hey, Sharon.
Hi, Anton. Hi, Bill. Can I ask, Anton, are we going to be off camera and just discussing things as voices? Mm-hmm.
Right here. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes,
Yes, indeed.
Kevin, are you audible?
Kevin's on mute.
I see. So let's make Kevin.
I am. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good man. Thank you very much for joining us, buddy.
Pleasure.
Right, let's get this going. With my coffee, and that's all I need. Rightio. I think we've got Ishita. Are you audible?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
You are. Amazing. Good stuff. Yes, we can. We've got the whole team now. So I think we can get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Legal Q&A. It's our 8th session. We do this every month, every second Friday of each month, where we seek to help startups with whatever questions you may have in terms of navigating that minefield that the legal landscape is that will protect your business as you go from startup to scale up. I've got 4 amazing people with us today who've been there and done it for various companies, and they're going to use their legal expertise and background and experience basically to answer any questions you may have in terms of UK startup law. The idea is quite simple. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And whilst the top 3 reasons for that are 1, market fit, 2, running out of money, and 3, not having the right people, in my experience, both as a serial founder myself, as well as having spoken to thousands of founders out there, one of the things that we tend to be worst at is the legalities of our business, unfortunately. So hopefully the brilliant minds that are here with us today, they'll be able to help us with whatever questions you may have. And by the way, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy you may want to know about or gain some clarity in terms of your incorporation, or maybe founder agreements, or shareholder rights, or IP protection, term sheets, compliance, regulatory requirements, non-disclosure agreements, and perhaps employment laws, maybe some legal documents or templates that you need to have, maybe contracts, or even if it's down to co-founder or investor or board disputes, anything within that sphere, this is the place to be for the next 57 minutes. So for those of you that are on the live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So you'll need to join us here on Microsoft Teams. And the quickest way to do that is to go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club. You then find today's session, which is Startup Legal Q&A 08. So just scroll down a little bit. You'll find today's session. Click join. It's a quick registration that gets you a link to your email. And through that link, you can then tune in here to us on Microsoft Teams. And being audio only means that you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And the idea is also that being audio only, you can tune in whether you're, I don't know, walking your dog or working from a shared office, or maybe changing baby nappies. Whatever you're doing, this is easy to tune in. Once you're here, simply drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic, and then you can ask our team. On the other hand, if you are well, if you've got questions that are on other matters and not on legalities, then please save them for the other conversations we run. We do on every Monday, we run a Q&A on talent. Every Tuesday, it's product and tech. Every Wednesday, it's growth. Every Thursday, it's fundraising. Second Friday of each month, obviously, as you can see today, it's legal. And every third Friday of the month, it's UK startup finances, and all of them are from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. Now, without further ado, we'll go on to some quick introductions, then we'll open it for some Q&As. Actually, no, just before the Q&A. So again, let me recap that. Agenda, it's introductions. I'll ask the panelists for their do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage legal stuff, and then we'll start taking your questions. By the way, we've been doing this since 29th of March 2021, where we've had well over 280,000 people that have tuned in. And none of that would have happened without people like Ishita, Sharon, Bill, and Kevin. So please feel free to drop your LinkedIn's in the chat, panelists, in case anybody wants to follow you on LinkedIn or reach out to you, because that is the least we can do in return for all your help here. So, and by the way, the others, the audience is also welcome to drop their LinkedIn in the chat as well if you want. But without further ado, some quick introductions. My name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London, working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and accelerators, and help some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. If we can go to Ishita, then Sharon, then Kevin, and last but not least, Bill, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ishita Luthra, founder of Lex One Consulting, a legal services company that works with early stage startups, growing businesses, and small and medium enterprises. We support clients with everything from setting up, drafting foundational documents, shareholder agreements, to preparing team documents, website terms and conditions, advising on investment agreements and loan arrangements. I've also written a book called The Inner Circuit, which helps people navigate the complexities of modern day life through mindfulness, yoga, and breathwork. I'm really excited to be here today again and share some insights and answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon Zachariah here. I am the founder of Innovation Law, and we ourselves are a startup. We began in the middle of this year, and our clients are all sizes of business, really, because we specialize in innovative products and services, whether they be tech or chemicals or manufacturing or services. We are experts in working things out, especially when they've never been done before. But we're also very happy to do things that have been done before, mostly commercial law and business process and general guidance. So, for instance, one of my clients does a lot of work which involves personal data, and there's an upcoming change in the law. So I wrote them some advice on how their business can align itself with the change in law. So that's what I do, Sharon Zachariah, Innovation Law.
Thank you, Kevin.
Hi all, I'm Kevin Withane. Thanks for having me. I'm the co-founder of Impact Lawyers, which is a legal and business services consultancy. We provide support and help across legal work. So I do corporate and commercial, but focus on helping startups, founders and VCs with funding rounds and just day-to-day work. And we also have a fractional GC service. We've got employment law specialists as well. And then we also provide business services. So your drag and drop HR teams. We've got leadership coaches and trainers. And we have a sort of funds regulatory person as well. And then just for kicks and laughs, I run a community for underestimated founders. It's a free community called Diversity X. So we provide a ton of programming, in-person events. We run a regular funding readiness program, and then I also am an investor as well into a growing portfolio now of startups. So that's me.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here. My name is Bill Cogan. I'm the founder of 7 Legal. So we're a legal consultancy, much similar to the rest of the panel, specializing in early stage high growth companies. So about 40% of our inbound would be around some sort of fundraising event. So we go work from term sheet to money in the bank. We then stay on and help companies through scaling phases, including US expansion. So we've got US lawyers in the team, and we help companies expand to the US and also exit as well. So we do M&A in the back end. So we're a team of about 20 lawyers, been running about 5 years. And last year worked with about 160 predominantly VC-backed companies here in the UK and in the US. So delighted to be here and look forward to answering some questions.
Amazing. We have got an absolute stellar team, and I really appreciate all 4 of you for joining us. I guess a quick reset of the conversation. You've joined Startup Legal Q&A 08. So this is our 8th session. We do this monthly, every second Friday of the month, where my brilliant guests take to the stage to answer any questions that you may have in terms of the legalities of your business. We are only focused on UK startup law, by the way, so not other jurisdictions. And obviously, like all our sessions, this is recorded, and we're not here to dish out legal advice, but this is more to express our opinion based on the experience of these amazing individuals that have all worked in various capacities, whether in-house or for law firms helping startups out there. We're going to be here for the next 48 minutes, and my advice is not to leave it for last seconds if you've got any questions, because then we'll run out of time. But if you do want to ask us anything, all you have to do is just drop your question in the chat. We'll then give you the mic and you can ask the team. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Your questions today can be on anything related to perhaps legalities of incorporation or founder agreements or shareholder rights and IP protection, term sheets, compliance, regulatory requirements, non-disclosure agreements, employment laws, GDPR, legal documents, maybe some templates you need to keep, or contracts, co-founder or investor or board disputes and all that jazz, really. If, however, your questions today are not on talent, then please save them for the other conversations we run. Mondays, talent, Tuesdays, product and tech, Wednesdays, growth, Thursdays, fundraising, second Friday of each month, as you can see today, it's UK Startup Law, and third Friday of each month is UK Startup Finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. And you can RSVP to any future session via our website, startuptoscaleup.club. And actually, when you're there, you may also want to tune in and join our WhatsApp community. At the top and bottom of our site, there's a WhatsApp icon that you can join our groups, which is basically groups of founders, investors, operators, legal experts, and so on. By the way, just a quick reminder, I can see some of you on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. Please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you do want to ask us anything, well, our panelists rather, you'll need to join us here on Microsoft Teams. And again, the quickest way to do that, it's via our website, startuptoscaleup.club. When you get there, simply scroll down a little bit, and then you'll see today's session, which is Startup Legal Q&A 08. You click join, it's a quick registration. That gets you a link to your email, and then through that link, you can tune in. Before we go to questions, as in the Q&A, perhaps some do's and don'ts would be great from the panelists. So maybe if we can start with Kevin, then Ishita, then Bill, and last but not least, Sharon. We can think of one do and one don't each, and let's try not use the same reasoning or logic for both, please. Kevin?
Yeah. Do get your foundations rights early. So incorporate properly, issue shares correctly. If you do subdivisions, make sure they're recorded at Companies House correctly, and in your share registers, have clear founder agreements, vesting IP, IP assignments, make sure they're done. Basically, trying to fix this later really does slow down rounds. I lost a round in the summer because there was just too much to get fixed, and the VC ended up pulling out because they needed the deal done by a certain date, and it wasn't going to be. And then don't copy templates blindly. So every startup structure, cap table, and risk profile, they're all different. Just using random internet documents or something that another founder may have used and passed you can leave legal gaps. So just like you probably shouldn't do your own accounts in case you make a mistake and you're going to spend money on an accountant, it's worth, even if it's just cursory, asking a lawyer, can you just take a look and see if there's any real issues with this before sending it out or utilizing it.
Great. So the do I'd like to mention is that do get proper review of your legal documents. These days, using ChatGPT and other AI tools to draft or review your legal documents is becoming highly common. So it can make you efficient and help you understand potential issues, but AI is not a substitute for professional legal advice. It can overlook risks, complex clauses, and reference to other laws that you may not be aware of. So you should always get a qualified lawyer to review your documents to ensure you're fully protected and get the right legal guidance, because there may be issues that can be overlooked because AI does not have the full picture about your circumstances. the don't, sorry, I would like to mention is don't ignore having proper founder or shareholder agreements. It might be easier to feel, to go for a handshake agreement with a co-founder, but as your business grows, you need to be prepared. Having a shareholders agreement which sets out key things about your arrangement, like what are your rights, your restrictions on share transfer, your exit arrangement, what happens if someone wants to leave the company. Because a director can be removed from a company, but a shareholder cannot. So these rules that you agree contractually are very critical. So always have a proper founder or shareholders agreement if you're bringing on board a co-founder. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And then Sharon, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say early on, do be greedy with your equity. We see a lot of times companies and founders at that early stage are, promising 1% here, 2% there, be that to advisors, employees, etc. I try to avoid that as much as possible. This takes one, it kind of introduces complexity earlier on. So until you're ready to put in place, a proper option and an EMI scheme, I just be very greedy with promising anyone equity at the outset, particularly ahead of a funding round where you've actually placed a valuation on the company. Just be very mindful of that. So do be greedy. My don't would be just never ever sign a term sheet with an investor without getting that viewed by a lawyer or potentially an investor that can advise you as opposed to being on the other side of the table. From a lawyer's perspective, it's pretty heartbreaking when you see a signed term sheet, even though it's not legally binding. It is it's very hard to roll back from once signed, I would say, commercially. So, just don't sign it without getting a lawyer to review it. We actually do a free term sheet review for prospective clients. So, please do reach out. But yeah, that'd be my do and don't. Do be greedy and don't sign the term sheet without review.
Thank you. Just before we get to Sharon, how does that free term sheet review work, Bill?
If you can reach out to us directly, I've left my LinkedIn there and via our website. If you can reach out, we'll do a free review.
How do you make money on that then? Or is that a way so that when the founders then need you for other stuff, they can hopefully...
I think you'd hope that, as part of there is further legal work onwards from there. But yeah, it's a service we offer.
That makes sense. Thank you. Sharon?
Hi. So I feel there's obviously some themes that we all have in common, which are really risk management of various sorts, because that's what we help with, legal risk. And my do would be to get your own set of terms, commercial contracts, business to business, business to customer, consumer. It depends who you're dealing with, but to get those drafted straight away, because they will help you be very clear about what your business model is, what you charge, what you're offering, what you're not offering. And if you get that out on paper very clearly, the rest will flow. And my don't is don't ignore data protection, because it's the thing everyone seems to want to ignore. And right now, there's so much risk involving getting hacked, data breaches, accidentally sending data to the wrong places. If you do your data protection policies, both outward facing and for your staff, if you have any, even if they're the two of you, you will be clear in your minds what you're allowed to do with data and what you're not allowed to do with data, and how to be nice and tidy about it so that you stay on the right side of the legal line, and ideally you simply best practice, using best practice. You can also get certified. All of these things are quite important. And I know it's a bit of an investment, but really it's not as huge an investment as you might think.
This is absolute gold from all four of you, and I really appreciate that. Well, thank you very much, team. I think we can go to our first question. Jasmine, are you audible? Are you okay to talk? I've unmuted you.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Brilliant. Please feel free to quickly introduce yourself and welcome back to our Q&As. And then fire away with your question.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine. I'm currently in the middle of planning, preparing a business in the photo booth industry. So because I'm doing all this on my own, I guess some of the advice might not apply until later on. But my question was wondering about sort of how much it costs to have a lawyer review documents. And also, since I would be writing a lot of it on my own, how would I be able to like make sure there's no like legal loopholes or anything that's not quite right? And yeah, in general, how much it costs and what the sort of advice would be with that with small businesses. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Jasmine, I'm sure they're going to give us or try to give us lawyery answers. So let's try and specify it a little bit. What do you have in mind specifically? Any particular stuff that you're sort of more inclined to get an answer on in terms of the cost there? What are we talking about? What kind of reviews?
Yeah, great question. So I'm thinking about creating some sort of business contracts for clients that I'd be working with in the future, in order to basically, it's part of my business model. As I said in the previous session, the idea is basically I would be renting my photo booth to prospective clients in their space, and it could be sort of like a rolling contract, or it might even be a longer 1 year, 2 years fixed contract. So it really just depends on how things go. And
Okay,
with
so
these
mainly contracts with these people. Yep.
yes, correct. And I guess for me, it's more of like whether I need to review these more often, or if it's like I sort of get the final document and then I just need to change specific terms moving forward. Like how often do I need to have touch points with a lawyer with regarding to business contracts and how much it costs?
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. So focusing on these business contracts. Right. Can we please not get lawyery answers? If we can try and keep it to about a minute each, that would be great. I can see there's a hand raise, or it was. Maybe we'll start with the lawyers that have joined us here before, just so that we kind of get an idea, and then we'll go to the others. So about a minute each. Let's start with Ishita, Kevin, Sharon, and last but not least, Bill, please. What is your thoughts on this? If you know, the more detailed or specific that we can be in now, I know it's easier said than done to give figures, but if you can give some guidance to Jasmine, I think that would be great. Take it away, Tim.
Sure. Thanks, Jasmine. That's a great question, and it's relevant because you're a first-time founder, I'm guessing, but legal documents can get complicated. To put my answer in a nutshell, basically, legal document review depends on. First is the length of the document, how lengthy they are. And you mentioned that you'll be drafting them yourselves. So if you have legal background, that's great. But if you don't, and if you're using these language learning models to draft, there may be elements that it might miss. So my recommendation would be speak to a lawyer first, explain what you are trying to do, what would the arrangement look like, what are the obligations of your business as well as the other side, And once that arrangement is clear, the lawyer can draft the contract, which is legally sound for your business. And that will also help reduce cost, because to review and redraft a document takes longer than drafting from scratch, in my experience. Okay, so yeah, if it's a simple, straightforward agreement where you're providing services or someone's providing services to you and you're paying them in exchange, simple document that might cost a few £100. But if it's a extensive, lengthy document, then it depends on how complex the document is. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the four of us will get through something different here. I think like AI could do some really basic NDAs. They're basic, but it tends to cover the main things, like from what I've seen. If you've got sort of more transactional type documents, like you can have your own, I think it's worth spending money to get a lawyer to create you your suite of documents that you're going to regularly use with clients. And then those can have, essentially there'll be you're asking a lawyer, please create me the templates that I need to then just drag and drop certain commercial elements which may differ from client to client or deal by deal. Otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to create a document in ChatGPT. A lawyer will charge you for obviously reviewing it, and then you're going to have to mark it up as like there'll be revisions that will be needed, and probably further conversation around what's the commercial goal, and understanding ultimately what are you trying to achieve with the document. So it actually may end up costing you more. So why don't you speak to the lawyer first, as Ishita said, and then you can sort of make a decision based on that, as like, well, it's a really pretty basic set of terms and conditions. I can probably get ChatGPT doing it, should be fine. Or actually, this is sort of quite a material, or like this will be used for sort of important business contracts. I probably should just get the lawyer do it, and then ask for a fixed fee. Even if they say this is our hourly rate, ask for a fixed fee, and always check what their hourly rate is.
That's a very good point, Jasmine. Most lawyers I come across, they tend to work on hourly rates. So that's what you've got to bear in mind, and kind of pretty much pull them to say, okay, well, how long does it take for you to build that suite, for example, that Kevin mentioned? Sharon?
Hi. Yes, it's an important point on fixed fees. Fellow lawyers, I found my life so much easier since I've gone fixed fee, because it's very stressful to be constantly recording your time. So for your advice, Jasmine, I would start with speaking to three lawyers and getting 3 quotes. I do that for every professional I work with. I try my best to speak to 3 professionals and get a feel for still a prudent way to start. Then you can get maybe 3 quotes, and I agree totally with Kevin that ask for a fixed fee, and if people don't offer you one, then you might want at least an estimate. Of course, if we're drafting a document from scratch, it's a lot easier to give a fixed fee than if you provide somebody else's document. Then we really don't know what we're getting into. So that's when you might end up with an hourly rates quote or an estimate. So the second thing I do is to try and get someone with whom then you have this good relationship, and you can either have a retainer, be able to get follow-up advice from them, somebody at the end of a phone, because this startup journey can be very lonely. And to feel you're floundering and you don't know who to go to, it's nice to have somebody at the end of the line. And of course, they're professionals, they will charge you, but it might be something affordable that you can agree with them. And that's the gist of my advice. So you need relationships like that, and it also needs to be affordable. So shop around a bit. My view is don't work with AI, and if somebody is offering you a very cheap quote, I think they're probably using AI.
Thank you, Sharon. And last but not least, Bill.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I think just going along with everyone else in the panel there, fixed fees, yeah, like most firms work on them these days. I think shopping around for a quote is a good idea. And also then looking at, what is the value of this contract? I think you mentioned that you're putting phone booths into different premises. So, fundamentally, if you're paying a lot of money for that phone booth, you want an enforceable contract to get that back. Similarly, if these are high value contracts, high value revenue that ultimately you will want to enforce and not have anyone wiggle out of, it's worth investing in. I would say, yeah, so shop around, get a fixed fee quote, and then allocate resources in accordance with the assets or the revenue that are being generated within the business. So there's no point in going off and spending a lot of money on a relatively low value contract. So assess risk and assets within the business, or sorry, resources within the business accordingly.
Thank you very much. You've given some brilliant answers, but also quite lawyery. So if I went around and just asked all four of you for a rough estimate of what you would charge for what Jasmine has said, you can either say pass if you're not sure, or it depends, or give us a rough estimate. So let's start with Ishita.
Well, it'll be it depends on the complexity. I don't want to repeat my answer, but it'd be somewhere in the hundreds, if that makes sense.
Hundreds. Kevin?
Yeah, again, it depends on the complexity and actually what you're going to give us as the base document to look at. But let's say it's a relatively short document, half an hour's time for a review, and then initial quick cursory read through. Yeah, you're probably looking at somewhere between 500 and a grand. But that, it's sort of a hard question to ask when
Indeed,
you've not seen
that's
anything.
true. No, fair enough. Sharon?
I think I would be at the more costly end of the scale, because I would work through your entire business process and model with you. I would charge more around the 2,000 mark, but you'd get a real grounding for your entire business going forward. So you wouldn't have to come to me with any document, just your ideas, but then it would cost you more.
Fair enough. And last but not least, Bill.
Yeah, I'd be there with Sharon as well. I'd probably 1,500 to 2.5K, I'd say. It's probably reasonable for a commercial contract, just to kind of sit down, make sure you're totally covered, and then give you that foundation that you can go and apply across multiple deals. I think it's worthwhile.
That's brilliant. And I really love the retainer idea. I've always tried to engage in that when I've been able to afford it. And I've tried to advise the founders I've worked with to do that. But reality is, or at least the ones I come across at the beginning, the absolute majority simply cannot find the money for that. Or even if they think they can, they'll spend it on other stuff. Do you guys work on a retainer, and do you tend to have a certain fee just for kind of information for those listening in case they hopefully reach out to you? And again, if you'd like to go on the same order that we went for the question. So 1, if you do, and 2, roughly what sort of costs are we talking about? So Ishita, Kevin, Sharon, and Bill.
Yeah, my first consultation is free, and then thereafter, once I gauge what the matter is all about, then I charge on a fixed fee basis.
Okay, is there a rough sort of for like a retainer? I mean, is there a rough cost that you have, or you don't do kind of retainer stuff?
Yeah, I'm open to it. Again, Anton, it depends on the nature of
It depends.
the
Yeah,
matter.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Of course. No, totally get it. All right,
Yep.
Kevin.
Yeah, I have an hourly rate, which my PE clients and some of the fund clients pay. But generally with startups, it's always a fixed fee. It varies from types of work, but it can range from somewhere like around £450 to, funding rounds where, like, as an example, recently just closed, it'll be announced next week. a 1.3 something million round. We charged, there was 5 institutional investors plus a bunch of angels. We charged, or my costs, which I charged the founders, was £5,000. It's a fixed fee, which compared to the time spent was actually a massive deal for them.
Thank you. Sharon, Kevin, do you do retainer, and do you sort of have a cost to that?
Yes, I do a retainer. I do £500 a month for about 2 hours of contact, whether phone or WhatsApp or however you'd like to be able to reach me. That usually goes along with an instruction where I'm providing the baseline contract, so that I know what I'm advising on. If you go and get yourself a ChatGPT contract, then your £500 hotline is pointless. Then I wouldn't suggest that I'd be well placed to guide you. But if you start from a good place, then you can have a well-priced retainer and, just chuck a message over the wall, or, ask for a quick call. And that's quite a lot in that amount, especially if you're doing high value contracts. You definitely should think about that.
Cool. And last but not least, Bill.
Yeah, we do retainers typically for more mature clients. To be honest, our hourly rate, mine is 500 plus VAT an hour. Our senior team is 450 plus VAT. That drops then according to the size of the retainer. So 5 hours a month would take it down to £400 an hour, etc., and then that scales upwards. So yeah, we do retainer work. It just equals lower hourly rates.
Brilliant stuff. Now, I'll give you my answer, what I've done quite a few times, Jasmine. There are things like Simply Business that you can buy, like a suite of documents that you need. But when things go wrong, then you wish you'd had a lawyer. Do things always go wrong? They don't. But then you've got to try and play by ear, if that makes sense. I hope you found this helpful, Jasmine.
Yep, that was super helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll now go on to our next question. Sunny, please introduce yourself briefly and then fire away with your question, because I thought it was quite an important one. Take it away.
Hi there. I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are, buddy. Yep,
Oh,
yes, we
yeah,
can. Please
yeah.
introduce yourself and your business, and then
Yeah.
fire away with the question.
Yeah. So the question is, I'm Sunny. I was part of a £60 million exit on a healthcare recruitment business, and I went into charities and non-profits. And I've had my limited company for nearly a decade, and I've had offers in the past from angels, investors, but the less riskiest option for me is to take equity out of the house. And it's something I'm planning to do towards the end of next year. But if there's sort of anybody here that has sort of dealt with a similar sort of case on that, where they have used equity from the house into the business, what is the safest way to do that, is my question.
That's a brilliant question. I'll give you 2 quick answers and then I'll pass you on to the experts. Number one, I think most startups that I know that are stupid enough, like myself, have done that. Couldn't tell you the best way to do it. And secondly, in my experience working with investors, especially VCs or other institutionals, Sunny, they're not huge fans of director loans. And that's one thing I've learned. But in terms of how to go about it, maybe we can go on to Bill, Ishita, Sharon, and last but not least, Kevin. If we can do it in about a minute each, please, team, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess in terms of kind of risk mitigation, the least risky thing would be to not do it. I think, fundamentally you're risking your house there. So I just take that decision, take a lot of time over that decision. In terms of putting it into the company, a director's loan is the cleanest way in terms of getting money in, getting money out. But as Anton has flagged, any subsequent investors will also look to be looking that you'd restrict the repayments on that loan out of the business. What they don't want to see is you take on investment subsequently and then use their investment to repay your director's loan. So yeah, I just be very mindful about that. There are obviously other kind of lending providers out there that wouldn't be secured against your home. So have you explored all options in terms of funding?
Yeah, yeah, I have. And the reason with like going against the house is because the mortgage has always been paid off and there's never been any trouble. But I do completely understand from a legal point of view what you're saying there. And so it's good to hear it in that way as well.
Yeah, definitely money in, money out of director's
There's also
loan.
startup. Sorry, yeah, go on. Now, there's also startup loans. It might be worth looking at that. Okay, let's see. Ishita, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Sunny, it's a great question, and obviously the risk is quite significant. What I wanted to check is how much money are you looking to kind of take as a loan? I mean, it all depends on your risk appetite. If you feel confident that you'll be able to repay it, because obviously you're mortgaging your house, and there'll be guarantees and all sorts of things involved, and there is no guarantee about your business as well. So, however, if you do feel confident that you'll be able to repay the loan, and then the company will be in a solvent state, then go for the loan. But a subscription would be much easier from a legal perspective. I'm not a tax expert, so I'm not going to comment on that. But in terms of issuance of shares, you already have other, existing shareholders, or are you looking for, seeking acquisitions or, further investments from angels and all of that? So there are a few things to consider here, as in terms of your future business plan for the company. Is what are the short-term risks and what are the long-term risks? I think you need to weigh up all of those.
Thank you. I think we said Sharon and then Kevin, didn't we? Sharon?
So I have to say to you that this is totally not my area. So I would really be very interested in what all the others are saying, because I do not advise on tax or on money in any way.
I guess that's me then.
Kevin?
Okay, so I've had clients do this. One client actually, all of them. No, one client did an equity or took out an extra mortgage basically and used that money in their business. They put it in as a loan, and that's what they were advised to do by their accountant, and I understand why. It's because it reduced their capital corporation tax, and they could essentially get that money out without being taxed. What happened though was they pivoted and then became a sort of investable type of company. They went and got they brought some angels in. Angels didn't care, and then they brought a VC in, and the VC made them. It wasn't just about repaying the money out. They made them essentially forgive the loan to the company. So they lost, and it was like about 70 or 80,000 pounds, if I remember correctly, and that got wiped out. So they've still got a second mortgage. But they're not going to get that money back, and they didn't get any equity for it either, because it was a forgiven loan as opposed to an equity piece. So that was sort of a lesson learned there. But I think your accountants will typically tell you put the money in as a loan, because of that, as I said, the corporation tax issue. Sometimes you might want to think about whether, if you are going to do it, and I think there are, Bill might have said it, and Ishita might have said it, there are a ton of different options that you don't have to risk your house for, which are equally as good. But if you're going to do it, I think get some broad tax advice and think about the sort of type of business you are. And if you're taking external investment, are you prepared to write off any loan against your house without having any equity?
I'm glad you brought that up. Can I ask you, in terms of a director's loan, when going for investment, is one able to then turn that into equity? Do you know any such cases? Do you think it's doable?
Yeah, we just did it with one of ours actually in January. And she's just raising again. So there was 2 co-founders and a bunch of angels. That both the founders put in loans. They paid. What they did was pay one of the founders off loans back through revenue first. And they have this company has a ton of, in fact, they've got 67 different entities, but mainly angels on their cap table. Angels fine. What we did was we did a when they were raising in January, we knew they were going to go to institutional. So what we did was, for the director or the founder who hadn't had their loan repaid, we got the investors at that point, all of those angels, to agree that could be converted into equity, and we did the debt for equity swap at that point, and then we went out to raise after. So that's how we did it.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Sunny. I hope you found it helpful.
It's incredible advice. Literally, I'm grateful for the opportunity for the answers. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And a place to look at is the Startup Loans Company, which is, I believe, run by the British Business Bank. They do give out some brilliant loans, and also within that scheme, you can go out to certain banks who are, let's call it, signatories of that scheme, where they'll give you well, I don't know how much, because I can't remember now, but there are obviously certain brackets there, but you can get unsecured loans because the government will be the guarantee. So definitely worth looking into that. Obviously there are certain criteria that you have to meet, but I would look at that. Rightio, we've got 10 minutes to go, so probably time for a couple of more questions now. I was keen on going to some questions that were sent in, but you know what? Jasmine has bothered to join us here live, so we'll go back to Jasmine if that's all right. And for the ones that send questions in, please try to join us live next time. But just a quick reset of the conversation. This is Startup Legal Q&A. It's our 8th session. We run this every month, second Friday of each month, 12 to 1 p.m, where we seek to help startups like yourselves with whatever questions you may have in terms of that journey from startup to scale up and the legal sides of it. And your questions, by the way, can be on anything to do with UK startup law, so there are no wrong questions. No need to be shy. You can ask us about incorporation, founder agreements, shareholder rights, IP protection, term sheets, compliance, regulatory requirements, non-disclosure agreements, employment laws, GDPR, legal documents, templates, contracts, disagreements, disputes, and all that jazz. There literally, again, are no wrong questions. All you have to do is drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic, and then you ask our team. Now, for those of you that are on the live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately, we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So you'll have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. Quickest way to do that is to go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club. You drop your question in the chat. Sorry, actually, no. When you go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club, you'll then need to scroll down a little bit, where you'll be able to easily find Startup Legal Q&A 08, or future ones for that matter, you click join. It's a quick registration that gets you a link to your email, and through that link you can tune in here to our sessions. By the way, all our sessions are audio only, which means you can join from anywhere via any platform or device. And we also have some amazing WhatsApp communities, WhatsApp groups at the top and bottom of our website. There's a WhatsApp icon that you can join various groups in our community with other founders and investors and experts and all that jazz. And I've actually also just dropped a link to a specific group we created for the legal Q&A here in the chat in case people would like to join. You can send questions ahead, you can discuss topics that we touched on here, but you can also get help beyond the Q&A. But yes, I guess without further ado, we can go on to Jasmine again. Jasmine, are you audible now?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have too many questions.
No, that's okay. Go with the first question, and then
Sure.
quickly the second question as well. So maybe just let's do them one at a time, please.
Sure. So with the first question, I'm sure you can read, so I won't repeat what I said, but I have called the intellectual property office about this. But I was just wondering from a legal standpoint what everyone thought about it. Thank you.
So what do you think about registering a trademark? Basically, that is the question. I'm going to read it out loud for those of you that are on the live streams. How important is it to register a trademark for my brand as a sole trader? Are there any implications if I don't, other than a competitor claiming this breach of IP, etc.? Now, I'll give you my quick answer. To be honest with you, unless, in my experience, unless you have some real scientific stuff, most of the time, you know, if somebody wants to infringe on what you're doing, depending on how much money they have, etc., they'll find a route. So if you haven't got enough money and enough people to help you, maybe worth not worrying too much. But probably the real experts here might have a different idea. So let's go on to Sharon, Ishita, Kevin, and Bill. Just a quick sort of view on that would be great, please, team.
So I think this is something you can try to do yourself, Jasmine, with your trademark, because at the most what will happen is they say your name is too generic, and or you can obviously search first and make sure nobody's got it, because it can be quite costly to get someone to do. However, if you are starting a high value business, I mean, one of my clients is starting a high value infrastructure business. He would need to make sure that he's got all the IP in place, because there's going to be value in the names that he uses. So I would get this done by a professional if you're going to be making a lot of money from it. But if it's kind of a small business and you think, well, you could just tweak the name or tweak your trademark, you know, if you could tweak it a bit, if somebody, you know, steps on your toes, or if you turn out to be stepping on someone's toes, then you might be okay. I mean, there is a chance someone very aggressive pursues you for some sort of a damage claim, but hopefully it would only be a cease and desist letter. So there's an element of risk in it, and it really depends how wedded you are to the IP and how much value there's going to be in it.
Thank you, Sharon.
So my views on this are that as a small business and as a sole trader, Jasmine, I think you should, you know, give this some thought. If you've thought of a brand name and logo, you should get it registered, because that gives you priority rights over the name and logo in specific classes in which you register. Okay, because if you don't register, then you will have common law remedies. There's a concept called passing off, but then you have to prove it. You have to kind of, you know, go to court and all of that additional costs. You know, you should try and avoid as you know, business just starting up. So I would just recommend registering your brand. It just costs a few £100 to get it registered, and kind of, you know, block any potential competitors who want to use it Otherwise, even the cost of rebranding your business, that takes time, it entails costs. So I would suggest consider doing that. And there's a right start application process that the IPO allows, wherein you just pay half the fee. If they find a similar mark to yours, they'll flag it up to you. So you can then decide whether to proceed with the application or not. So you just lose half the money, right? So yeah, highly recommend registering your trademark for sure. Thanks.
Thank you. I can't remember if we said Bill or Kevin, but either of you gentlemen, please.
Sure thing. I think again it comes down to I suppose what is the value you're placing in your brand. If it's a very unique thing that you think you want to stick with right through the business journey, it is worth protecting and investing in. I think if it's something that you're not totally wedded to, or you don't really mind changing down the road, then it's less of a risk for you. I think as soon as you start investing in branding, marketing, promotion, and marketing activities, then you are, going to be investing again in this brand and this trademark. So it's at that point where you're really investing in the brand and you're wedded to it. That is probably the point that would trigger the need for protection.
Thank you very much, Bill. And last but not least, Kevin, please.
Yeah, look, if it was, I would say just protect it. The cost is relatively low. You can do it yourself. You can pretty much work out which class it is. You type that in. The cost is like £170 for per trademark for the first class, and then £50 for each additional class you register it in. I mean, like I charge 200 quid to do the form for you. And then on top of the government fees, which is that 170 quid plus £50 for each other additional class. I think obviously if you say brand, so brand suggests that there's a piece of value to it, so it's worthwhile protecting. If you don't really care about it, then it's probably not even a brand for you. So I'll leave it.
Thank you very much, everyone. And the second part, and I think this is quite an important one that Jasmine asked. So I've been advised to start trading as a sole trader. How do I know when I should register a company? I think this mainly relates to my concerns about paying tax liability and recurring fixed costs. That's a very good question. In my experience, it's probably best to start with an LTD from day one, although I am aware, and even myself, I've been often advised by accountants to start as a sole trader initially and then play it by ear, but you can always start an LTD, and if things don't go right, you just, put it as dormant to start with until you actually start doing business. That would be probably easy, because as a company, you can then do a lot more things. And also in terms of liability. But I'd love to hear from the experts here, because I'm sure they know better than I do, and they probably have different views. So maybe we can go on to Kevin, Sharon, Bill, and then Ishita, please.
Yeah, so being a sole trader makes it really super simple. You just get going. There's no sort of admin, except if you choose that route, I would say set up a separate bank account. It's going to be in your name. And put all the sort of business related money and expenses through that bank account. Otherwise, when it comes to doing your tax, it's all commingled money, which makes it a little bit more tricky to work out like your tax. But anyway, you're going to be paying tax on income as opposed to corporation tax. So if your business does really well, you could be paying tax at a higher rate because it's income tax. An LTD, to be honest, it isn't that much of a headache. It also allows you tax deductibility for certain expenses like marketing expenses. If you put any loans in there. So I think I would typically advise clients to use an LTD. But really, it depends on the type of business as well.
Here, thank you very much for that. I think we said Sharon, didn't we? And then Bill, and last but not least, Ishita, although Ishita needs to leave soon. Sharon?
Yes, I'm advised that it is tax efficient to be a limited company. And there's also the jury out about, you know, VAT register or not. I would, but again, I like to advise on areas where I really know what I'm talking about, and I do not advise on tax, so I wouldn't be the right person in this case. I have been told, however, that limited companies are a more tax efficient way.
Thank you, Sharon. And last but not least, Bill, please.
I just go along with everything Kevin said, to be honest. You know, when you're getting going, sole trader is an easy way to just get up and go, see if the business is actually viable before you start putting together the infrastructure, be that a limited company, which then comes along with, you know, filing accounts and everything else. So yeah, sole trader to begin with, but then, you know, limited company as soon as it's viable, I would say, is the most traditional and path that makes sense for probably 99% of businesses. So yeah, that'd be the way I do it.
Thank you very much. And we are now 4 minutes over the line, so apologies, team. Jasmine, I hope you found that helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful. I guess I was like not so sure about like what the tax reporting would be like if I started a limited company, because obviously the financial year rolls differently. So that was my main concern. And additional to that was the fact that I am starting a brand, but this is not sort of the end for me. Like I'm starting in one area, but I'd like to expand to different brands under the same umbrella, which basically that complicates things a little bit more, because then I'd have to start another brand, but I'd probably have to start a company to sort of manage it. But yeah, that's just not something I need to worry about right now. It's just to get started.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I know I've kept you 5 minutes over the line, team, but would you like to give us any parting words before I let you go? Maybe we can start with the lady of the house. Well, the only lady left, Sharon, and then we can go on to Bill, and last but not least, Kevin.
Well, I think anyone who's starting a business must have considered that there is an initial investment. And I would strongly urge you to make, you know, provision for your risk management, because it would be really upsetting if you set things up beautifully and then due to a dispute or some, you know, badly drafted provisions, you end up with something that you did not expect or is a really unpleasant surprise. So I would invest in starting up properly with the right legal documents in place and not AI'd.
Good stuff, Bill.
I would just say get out there and sell. You know, revenue solves nearly all problems, including, you know, having resources to dedicate towards building out your legal infrastructure and everything else. So, you know, get in front of customers, get revenue generating, and, you know, then invest in the business as you go forward.
Here, and last but not least, Kevin, please.
I'd say don't make legal an afterthought. It's not the thing that drives your business, but it's the thing that saves you cost in the long run. But again, as Bill says, if you're not selling anything or making anything to have any revenue, then it doesn't really matter. If you're thinking about legal, you just won't be able to afford it. So getting good legal advice is worth paying for, but you've got to have the money in the first place to pay for it.
That is amazing. Thank you very much from all four of you. I really appreciate your brilliant advice today and the time you spent with us. Just two quick things before my parting words. Number one, this was Startup Legal Q&A 08. We run this every month, every second Friday of each month from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. So feel free to join us. We've got a WhatsApp group specifically for this conversation, and there's a link to it here in the chat. We also have other groups that you can join in our community. We run 6 regular sessions: Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising. Second Friday of each month, it's UK startup law, as you saw today. And third Friday of each month, it's UK startup finances. That all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. You may register to any future session via our website, startuptoscaleup.club. They're all audio only, which means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. Would appreciate it if you want to share the news, maybe share the WhatsApp groups links and invite other people that you know, founders that is, that want to get some help from this. In terms of my parting words, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, have a great afternoon and a brilliant weekend ahead of you. And hopefully we'll see you on Monday for Startup Talent Q&A, where myself and some brilliant talent experts will take questions from founders seeking help on their talent journey from startup to scale up. Again, thank you and God bless. Bye-bye for now.